I am the favorite. I'm the prince.
It's how can you make it your own?
We got a Chick-fil-A downstairs. It was like the worst thing that ever happened to us.
Oh my God.
So I didn't know. It's
difficult to bullshit. Confidence is never the absence of insecurity, it's the embracement of it. Or you're adding a reaction to it where you're like, it's gonna rain today. Or you like, it's gonna rain today.
When you come on Thursdays, game one.
Because we all get to decide.
the business, the way to shoot the video. If you're watching the recording while you're taking your dog for a walk, or maybe you're on the treadmill, there was an app about 4 years ago that came out that was called Clubhouse. It's still around, so I don't want to say that it's useless by any means, but I liked it for a couple of reasons, and then there's one main reason that I didn't really like it. The couple of reasons was the fact that it was audio only, which was kind of cool because you actually had to use the two ears and the one mouth a little bit less and listen. You got to hear people's voices, hear their stories. The one thing I didn't like about it though, that there was this and I'm gonna get my guests feedback on this, but there was kind of like an unwritten rule where you had to let everybody kind of finish their thought, and there's goodness to that. But if you guys know me, I don't mean to cut people off. It just kind of happens. I'm having a conversation. I want to get to know them. I bring in the passion. And so that was one of the reasons I didn't like it. But however, it happened to be one of the best connection networks, the network and the platform where you can make the most connections. And my guest, her and I can't even tell you. We probably were on a Clubhouse together like 500 times or something like that. And I loved hearing her voice. You guys are going to know, especially if you're taking your dog for a walk and we're in your ears right now. It's just a beautiful, sweet voice. But what I again didn't like was the fact that I wasn't able to meet people face to face. So her and I have not met face to face in 4 years, but in the last 2 weeks, I got to see her in New York, and now she's live here. Giselle, what's going on, girl?
I so appreciate you. I mean, what I loved about it more than anything was the fact that it was all live. Kind of like how we are for some of you right now, but you could not record something a million times. You couldn't rewind. You had to be fully present and engaged in the conversation as it was happening, both as someone who was speaking and also as a listener. And so in that sense, like, it was difficult to bullshit. Like, there were people who did, but I feel like
who was doing that too.
Right.
Like, you could just feel it. Go on.
Those of us who were smart enough to differentiate and sniff through it, I feel like the ones who I felt most connected to are the ones who were that same person on Instagram when you added the face, or then met in real life when you added the full body and the person. And so I appreciated that. And one of the reasons why I didn't mind that it didn't have a video component to it is because you could participate at any time, any day, any action, while you were walking the dog, while you were maybe getting ready for bed, or in between meetings on the go, and you could still find that way. Oh, there's the food. There it is. The food just got here.
Well, that's the most important thing about this podcast. We got some Chick-fil-A. Our girl came in originally from Minnesota. We're going to talk about the whole story, but she was doing a talk, as I mentioned, on my Instagram Live. So maybe you guys are still watching on Insta Live. You're going to have to hop over to Twitch if you want to actually ask questions. And if you're obviously watching the recording, throw it in the comments. We'll make sure we'll get it. Got my boy Bo here delivering the food. It's
literally
fresh. It should be. We got a Chick-fil-A downstairs. It was like the worst thing that ever happened to us.
Oh my God.
So I didn't know. This is new to Canada, just so you know.
Really?
Yeah, we just got it here, team, like 2 years ago.
Man.
At Yorkdale, which is about 20 minutes away from our studio. But downstairs, we only got it here like a year ago, even less. I didn't know the craze, girl. Like, it's packed at all times of the day. You obviously have had it in the States for a while.
We've had it in the States for a while, and I love it so much. And I have like my own little concoctions of different things. I'll mix the sauces together.
Oh, shit. You got a whole system.
I got a whole system, friend.
Okay. Well, you got the chicken strips and unsweetened
iced tea,
which is really not the Canadian way anyways.
I've heard that.
Yeah, we don't. This is one of the few places here in Canada, or specifically Toronto, that you can even get something that's unsweetened. I know who they're targeting. They are our good friends on the south side of us.
I love it.
Giselle, there's so much to talk to you about, girl.
Let's start. Do you want some French fries? Like,
I'm good. I ate a full lunch today, so I'm good. Please, do your thing.
Bless you.
We got coffee and stuff if you want, by the way.
I love it. No, I'm good.
I was looking back, and I didn't even know that you were like cheerleader at USC, and that goes back. Like, that's kind of cool. I want to hear about that because I'm a football guy. I know you're a Minnesota Viking fan. So you're kind of like in my boat. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Right,
so it's like both of us, we don't really got much to cheer about. Did it all like born and raised in Minnesota?
Born and raised in
Okay.
Minnesota. Yeah, born and raised in Minnesota. And I like to say, so I wasn't a cheerleader because we didn't scream and tumble,
Okay.
but we were dancers with pom-poms.
Got it.
And we were the faces of the program at USC, which was a huge football school.
And is it when you're cheerleading? Is it just for football, or is it like basketball? Is it a different team like
Yeah.
dance? Okay.
So for USC, for the Song Girls, we did football and basketball.
Okay.
Yep. And it was for one full calendar year.
Yeah.
So typically you would start at basketball and then you would end up at football, and hopefully you'd go to a bowl game. We were able to go to the Rose Bowl. We won the Rose Bowl. We had Pete Carroll was the coach. Mark Sanchez was the quarterback. It was like the glory.
I was just about, you literally took the
days.
words out of my mouth. Like that's super glory
Yes.
days, Pete
My
Carroll
college
days.
experience was something out of a movie.
Why USC? Like what did you go there for? Like from
Weirdly
Minnesota
enough,
over there.
I know. So I went to a really small private school,
Okay.
under 100 kids, and I think 5 or 6 of us from my graduating class went to USC.
For what?
They recruited really heavily, just in general.
Okay.
And for all different things, all of us studied all different things, but I do feel like it was a college prep school. So a lot of us had our sights set on East Coast, West Coast, anywhere but staying in Minnesota.
Got it.
And my parents were really adamant about that. My parents really wanted me to have an outside of Minnesota experience. So they encouraged me. There were moments when I wanted to stay at home, be close to family. I'm obsessed with my family. There was an awesome school that I got accepted to called Carleton.
In
And my
Minnesota?
mom- in Minnesota.
Okay.
It was like a top 2, I think, liberal arts college. And my mom was like, no, get out. Go experience something else.
shout out to
Which
Mom.
I know, and it was so hard for her,
Especially because you didn't want to, right?
She's the most protective, loving mom, and I'm the youngest by a lot, the only girl. So my parents were so protective of me. So for her to say, go, leave, get as far away as possible, shout out to her, because I know that was not easy.
I just picked up on youngest, only girl.
Yeah,
So how many
favorite.
brothers?
2 older
Favorite.
brothers.
Fucking love it. You
Yeah.
know why? Because I'm the youngest of 2 older.
There you go.
3. There's 3 brothers. So
Yeah.
same thing. I knew that there was some type of connection like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And I tell my parents, they actually know it. I am the favorite. I'm the prince. I'm the prince. It's like, everything's kind of surrounded around me. It's all in Jas's world
Right,
kind of thing.
right.
I always say, and I want to know if this is similar to you in your household when you're growing up, like having 2 older brothers was always a healthy, and still till this day is a healthy reminder that I'm I'm closer to the bottom than I am to the top. Now,
Right.
and I mean that in a really complimentary way to my brothers, because all this whole Jas Takhar stuff and the team that we have and everything we've done, I get humbled really quickly.
Oh, so fast.
You get, same shit?
Oh my
like, was it
God.
like that? Okay. So
Yeah.
what's the difference in years though? So you have,
A lot. So
Okay.
my brothers are 9 and 10 years older than I am.
okay, so
Yeah,
similar.
So there's like a really, really big gap. And people always ask, oh, is it same parents? Same parents, but we had very different experiences being raised. Like
Makes sense.
I'm sure if we were to describe what it was like being the kids of our parents, we would both have 2 totally different things to say. Because they knew my mom as a business owner. They knew her as someone who was full-time working all the time. I never knew that part of my mom and didn't know to even understand it or respect it or appreciate it now being in that chair myself.
Stay at home at that
until
time?
She stayed at home with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was her whole universe. I was her whole life. And I was in a house where, yes, I had 2 older brothers, but I also had all of their friends and cousins. And we always had a cousin who was maybe coming to speak English. Like our house was always full of kids. We had, growing up, like a table for 6 or 7 people at the dining room table, but then we'd always have one of those like picnic extender tables with like the plastic wrap over it, like every night at dinner, because we were so the household that had like all the strays
Right.
and the friends
I love it.
who would just stay with us. And so that being said, even though I was the youngest and the only girl and the alleged favorite, it was a constant power struggle to get attention, to compete, to stand out, to have my voice be heard, and totally made me who I am. But even to this day, my goodness, nothing keeps you humble than 2 big brothers who will find
I've seen so
ways.
much stuff of yours on social and you on stage and stuff. It's almost like this is now like your performing and your coming out party, like because
yeah.
you were fighting to get noticed. Is that like now you're on stage and you got all the fucking eyes on you, and then you got this crowd that's coming out to you afterwards because they want to be one of. Do you feel like that when you're on stage?
I never thought about it that way. And I don't think so, because I feel like when I was really young and I was the cheerleader on the sidelines for my brothers, you know, I wasn't officially the cheerleader. My mom would put me in like a little uniform or give me the finger, you know, the foam finger, or the pom-poms. And I always felt like, I never really thought about it this way, but all of us grew up in some kind of a stage. So my mother, as a business owner, she owned dance studios. So my brothers actually had to learn how to dance, but then they were also really involved in sports and they were really good at sports. So for them, whether it was basketball or football, they were also growing up in the arena. They had to perform for what they were doing. And then for me, growing up in dance or doing plays or musicals or all of that. And so I feel like to some extent, I've been training for this actually my whole life. The difference is that now I'm typically on the stage by myself. And what's also started to change is now having people who know who I am before I'm on that stage, or there are people who didn't know, who I don't know, who are so excited to see me.
And they know your whole story too.
Yes.
Right, because you put on a lot of stuff, which we're going to get into.
And it's also now, it's my stories, it's my content. Whereas before it would be the other people's plays or
the team
scripts or teams or songs or choreography. And that's definitely what makes it different.
High school Giselle. Who were you? Like, were you in the books? Like, for you to get recruited to USC, obviously your grades, I'm thinking, were,
to be honest,
above average.
Like, I never realized this until a lot later in life. Had you asked me that question 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I was a good student.
Okay.
But now that I look in, I was actually not that great of a student. I was just given really awesome flexibility in school, where, for example, I might have a choice to write a paper or do a monologue. Or I had teachers who really saw my potential and could see that deadlines were not great for me. I would always wait until the last minute to study, to write the paper, to turn something in. And so there would be teachers who would let me have an extension or like let me take a little extra time. I would test really, really well.
But that extra time, I have a funny feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was you selling them on that.
Oh, like, totally.
Okay, see, I'm back.
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
Very similar to me.
Yeah. So a lot of people would refer to, I call it a type B brain.
Okay.
Some people call it ADHD.
Sure.
But I didn't even realize the ways that I either navigated my life or was set up in such a way that I really found ways to make it my superpower, whatever that is. And so I was totally someone who I would always wait until the last minute. I would take every single second minute to the deadline, to the point to where my USC application actually would have been after the midnight deadline, but it was on Pacific time.
Okay.
So
3 hours.
I just barely made it. But and as far as, so who is Giselle?
You got lucky.
I know.
What you did.
I know. If you were to look at the yearbooks and the resumes, I was very, very involved in a lot of different things, but really I was playing the game.
Okay.
I knew in my head, I had like a really difficult kind of freshman year socially. And so I just had my sights set on like, I'm going to get out of high school and I'm going to be really successful and I'm going to go somewhere else. So I really had my sights set on, how do I stand out from every other person who is smarter than I am? My dad likes to joke that I was the only Mexican in my Spanish class and I never got an A. So that's all, just to give you an idea. Like,
I think any Spanish?
Yeah, I do. That's the thing. I got a 5 on the AP exam, where the highest grade was 5.
Okay.
And in the US, like, you know, an A is exceptional. I was never on the super high honor roll, but I did well and I got by and I got into some great schools. But what I noticed early on, and I don't know how I figured this out, but I made myself, where I lacked in some areas, stand out in other ones.
Okay.
So I made myself very well-rounded, where it was like, okay, so I know that I might not get an A in this class, but I can be really involved and well-rounded, where I have sports and fine arts or volunteer work, where all these other kids were not doing that. And I also made sure that with every college, if I could get an interview, I would secure an interview so that
Right.
they could meet me in person. I don't know how I figured that out, because I think a lot of people assume like, oh, your parents did everything for you. One of the best things my parents did, and I didn't notice it until later, is my mom always brings up this project in 4th grade where it was like a geometry project, and you had to build like a house, and you had to have like all these different shapes. And I was so proud of my project that was like glue gun and marshmallows and toothpicks and like paints, whatever. Like I loved it. I was so happy. I didn't even think that it was embarrassing until my mom brought it up, that you could see these projects that were clearly made by the parents
Got it.
compared to mine.
You're
where
right.
Mine just looked like trash. But
You did it.
I didn't see it that way.
Exactly.
Like I actually did it.
Sure.
Like I actually, if anything, I was like, okay, obviously you didn't make yours.
Right.
So I saw it as less than. And I think the best thing that my parents could have done is they did not support me in any way. They let me figure it out, and they let me do my own work and homework and get the projects late. They would support me, where I'll never forget my mom. I 5th grade tried out for the school play and I didn't make it. And I was so sad. And my mom was like, ask if you can be an understudy. And I was like, what's an understudy? I didn't even know what that was. They didn't even have understudies. She was like, just go ask if you can be an understudy and you can be a backup in case somebody bails out. And I was like, but nobody would ever bail out. It's the musical. Like everybody wants to be in the musical,
happened,
huh?
Mom. Yeah.
And I asked the director, I said, hey, I know I didn't make it, but is there any chance I could be an understudy and still come to rehearsal? And he was like, absolutely, you can. And sure enough, somebody ended up dropping out of the play and I got that spot. And I didn't realize until so much later in life, those lessons that I learned so early of asking to be the backup, or of doing my own work and taking pride in that messy work that it was, and it not being perfect, how much of a role that would play in my life. Even today, I'm in Toronto because
And just like the way that you just said it, you could actually be a local here. Because
Really?
Yes, say it again.
because I didn't say Toronto. I said
Toronto.
Yeah.
Like we know, like that was awesome.
Yeah.
How many times have you been here, by the way?
The what?
How many
This is
times have you
my
been?
second time.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah.
You were in Toronto today.
Thank you.
Go.
So I was in Toronto. The only reason I'm in Toronto today is because a company reached out to me. Their headliner speaker bailed, and they wanted to see if I could come out within a week to make today happen. And I was like, yeah, actually, that weirdly enough works with my schedule.
Perfect.
I can make it work. And I was the backup. And I joked at them. I was like, listen, I know I'm the backup, but you're going to regret that I wasn't your first choice.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened.
100%.
Like I have gotten so many opportunities in my life because I was the backup and didn't allow ego to get in the way, to say, hey, listen, I'm over here. Whenever you're ready, I'm good. And I'm so grateful that I learned that early on, because so many times in my life and in my career, I've been sitting on the sidelines and someone picked me up off the bench and I was like, put me in, coach. Like I've been waiting for this day. Put me in. I got you.
Like people can't obviously see it, or maybe they can hear it. I hope they can, which is what you really ooze is confidence. And I think, you're talking about your parents. I think that's what they gave you. I don't know how they did it. Maybe it was because it's funny what you said, right? Your mother was a stay-home mom after being in business and an entrepreneur, and you didn't really get to see that, but some way, somehow, they like filter that down to you, right? Because I talk to my team all the time. Look, if you can just get in the habit of asking for things and being okay with the rejection, this false feeling of rejection, because I don't think your life gets any worse. Like if I were to ask you on a date and you were to say no, my life didn't really get worse. I never had the date to start with.
Right.
But we have this narrative in our head like, shit, my life just got worse. Nah, it's just that feeling because you're worried about the judgment of others. But the confidence that you got, I see it on stage, I see it on content. What do you tell people, Giselle, that don't have that right now? And now they're not kids, though. They're not. I got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. Other than making them just like good, kind, happy people, I'm really trying to build confidence in them. I'm not talking about the 10 and the 8-year-old now. We have adults. You had adults today. I'm sure you had a range of people, just got their real estate license yesterday. They're 22 years old, to guys and gals that have been in the business for 30 years. And they're probably looking at you and saying like, I can't get on video. I'm worried and I'm scared. And how do you talk and coach people through getting confident at a much later age now?
Well, There's a few angles that I want to hit, because I also feel like those adults could be potential parents as well. And so it goes both ways. And I fully recognize and acknowledge that one of my competitive advantages in life is that I had two parents who loved me. And also one of my competitive advantages was that my parents did not do much for me. And intentionally, they wanted me to learn, they wanted me to figure it out. And I feel like we have done ourselves a disservice by believing that things are supposed to be easy, and by believing that your responsibility as a parent is to protect your child from any of those obstacles. When in actuality, what you're then doing is weakening your child by making them think that it's supposed to be easy, rather than putting in the work and creating a sense of discipline.
100.
And this whole concept of, well, if it doesn't feel good, run from it.
Yeah.
No, like, go into the uncomfortable, do the thing that you are avoiding or don't want to do, show up when you don't want to, play when you get hurt, like, cry, like, you can cry, just wait until you get to your pillow at the end of the night. And that's what's going to make you unstoppable.
Losing is okay.
All of it. And so my mom did little things where, like, for example, I might whine to her, Mom, why won't you do this for me? Because I'm your parent. I'm not your slave. I'm not your maid. Like, it's my job to make you a responsible adult. Like, you have to figure it out. You have to go through it. You have to figure out how to help yourself. And she did that with love. By no means was I neglected.
Yeah.
And absolutely by all means did they give me a support system and tools to, going to a great school, for example. However, there are plenty of kids who I went to school with who have amounted to basically nothing because their parents gave them actually everything, and then they were never able to figure it out for themselves. Like, I know people who were so spoiled or who were given all of the money in the world and they could not create a return, like some of my friends in business, or even the Kardashians, which is a totally different story, where it's like, okay, she's made over $1 billion. Can we let her be now? Because I know people who were given millions of dollars who could not create a business like that. But I digress.
100%.
So that being said, where can you as an adult build that confidence? Well, I feel like it's a couple different things. One, we have to stop thinking that we can just throw money at our problems or take a magic pill to solve everything.
So that blue magic pill doesn't exist?
It doesn't. I mean, there are some blue magic pills that exist, but I don't know.
I never took the conversation there, but they do. But in terms of the Matrix and helping you get the confidence, there's no blue magic pill. I get like that.
Yeah. And there's a whole other conversation around, psychedelics and whatever. And also antidepressant, whatever. But that's not what we're going down.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that what we need to remind ourselves of is that you're doing something new. It's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable, and you have to put in the work. If you simply make a video, that's not going to be the thing that automatically sets your world on fire. Like, just because you walk into the gym does not mean you're going to build muscle or lose weight or even be more confident.
Even
for
if
that
you just
matter.
watch a YouTube video, right? Like you're probably watching this on YouTube. Just because we're telling you about it, it is based on experience that we have, but you actually have to do the fucking work and get the feedback. Continue.
Yes. And so where are some of those first pieces? I do feel like where confidence begins is keeping commitments to yourself.
Okay.
Because if you start letting yourself down, or if you start putting other people's priorities and accomplishments and tasks ahead of your own, then that's how you not only lose confidence, but you lose a sense of self-worth. And so little things that you can promise yourself that I'm going to do every single day, that's what's going to build it one on top of the other, and also make it so that you start falling in love with the journey. I think one of the best lessons I've learned, even by accident, is detaching myself from outcomes.
Oh, I love
and I still have to work on that a lot.
Yeah.
But what do I mean by that? For example, if I call someone and they say no, not believing that I don't have something valuable to offer, whether that's personally or professionally. Or if I, put out that video that I worked so hard on and it doesn't perform as well as I had hoped. I don't care. It's a fucking great video. I'm going to leave the video up, so it's detaching yourself from the validation of other people, from the expectations of other people, from the judgments of other people, because that's also what keeps people going. I mean, we talked about how humbling it can be to have big brothers who can put you right in your place or make fun of you or just, and my brothers are so proud of me.
Sure.
So proud of me. And in the same breath, they can make fun of my shoes or my hair or something that I
You're
said.
still a little sis to them when they see you, and
or giving me
in a
the
loving way, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I get that.
the unsolicited advice and opinions of the people who will never buy from you or who just don't get it, you know, and all of it has been a work in progress. But I think that we think that confidence is something that you're born with. Confidence is something that happens when you are on a high, when you feel good. But the ones who have the unfuckwithable confidence are the ones who found worth in themselves when shit was bad. When they found optimism, when nothing was going their way. When they found a light at the end of the tunnel, when so much of the world was uncertain. I mean, you know this more than anybody. The most successful people around us are ones who maybe built businesses or had their best years when it was the pandemic or the market crashed or like everybody else was running around distracted, and we kept our heads down and we looked at what people really, really needed. And that's where a lot of that confidence comes from, is trusting your own intuition ahead of anybody else's and going for it.
Are you like a hard copy book reader now, or in the past were you? Are you like a podcast person? Like, because I think it's very important that you figure out who and what you let into the ears, right? And I'm a big believer, because I barely passed high school. I think they just kind of pushed me out to get me out. Like I was more of a disturbance.
Like, come on, Jas. Like, come on.
Like, get out, right? But what I did really quickly was surround myself around people that were doing really well. So they didn't let me get down on myself. And as someone who got into sales at a very, very young age, but right out of high school, I started selling cars. And like you wouldn't have obviously closed at 100%, nowhere near it. If I ever got down on myself, the people around me are like, dude, that's just part of the fucking game, bro. Like, it's a numbers game. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep, like what you said, right? Just because somebody says, no, it's not on me. Yes, I can get better. Surrounding yourself around people who are more successful. But now, you might be in a small town, like small town in Saskatchewan, a small town in Minneapolis. Who knows, wherever you are, that you might not be able to surround yourself around people that are successful. You might not be able to find them, might not be able to find a team. But there's no fucking excuse nowadays. Like, you can go on Instagram. I know you're worried about like all the negativity out there, but that's probably because you're watching a lot.
Right.
The algorithm's going to push out more of what you like to watch. But now there's no excuse. Watch YouTube, listen to a podcast. What's your kind of go-to thing? Like, do you actually read hard copy books? I don't anymore, but I listen to audiobooks. What's your kind of thing?
I buy a lot of books because I want to support authors and my friends. Or if I have an Audible that I really like, I'll buy the hard copy because I want to support that person. And I definitely went through a season where I was doing a lot of Audible, like a lot. And then I feel like just the season of my life that I'm currently in right now, it's like, I don't want any of the self-help stuff. I don't want any of the business stuff. I'm actually really into scripted series right now and like watching TV. So I'm watching, like, it's award season, so I'm watching all the movies. Like I'm watching all the movies, and I'm even like going back and watching movies that I love.
So that's your escapism kind of thing.
That's my escape, but it's also where I learn.
Got it.
Like, oh my gosh, and I'm saying that because I just realized, like, you know, I think we're also in this place of like, don't give your kids screens. I never had TV screen limits as a high schooler.
Right.
And I firmly believe that I'm the communicator who I am, which is, I do it for a living.
Yeah.
Because my parents let me watch so much TV. I watched the news, I watched scripted shows, I watched reality shows, I watched hosts, I saw people with different accents, I saw just communication styles. And I even think about, like, I watched all of Suits last year in a very
it's all taped downtown.
Embarrassingly short period of time.
It's all taped in Toronto. You know that.
I know. Yeah. But listening to Harvey Specter talk about some of the deals and negotiation and watching him, like the delivery of it, I'm inspired by that, as well as I find the escapism and the creativity of it. And I totally am also in this place of right now, I watch a lot of interviews on YouTube. I've been watching YouTube as TV lately.
Okay.
So I'll go and I'll either watch shorts or long form. I love watching interviews or podcasts or sections from questions or actors on actors, and just hearing how other creators and directors do it. Like, I love getting into the DNA of successful people.
Right.
And success comes in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. And so I feel like maybe because I'm around so many traditional business people right now, I'm going down a path of creatives and artists and actors and musicians and singers, and that's what I'm filling a lot of my time with.
There's always been a theme that I've been doing this for now coming up to 4 years, the podcast, which is success leaves clues.
Yeah.
And you're there's a reason you are where you are right now, because you've probably picked up on those clues along the way. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Be yourself, be authentic, and we'll talk about all that stuff. But at the end of the day, someone's done what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you hitting big stages, well, you're not the only person who's doing that right now. And there's been millions of people.
Absolutely.
Right? You figured out, hey, this is the way to book me, and like, these are the talks that I want to do. So to everyone who's listening and watching right now, don't be afraid to imitate at first and then innovate. I think it's a great strategy because it can start to cut down the curve in learning. But I want to jump somewhere else with you, because
let's jump.
Yeah, you put yourself out there on social. Like,
do.
I mean, I'm not saying anything that's private, because you put yourself on, like, you do, like, you show yourself like crying and in certain like hard moments. For myself, I'm on the flip side of that. Not because I don't think it's a right move. It's just not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm very private. Like, nobody really knows that I have kids and I'm married. I talk about it here, but nobody really sees them. But how did you like get started with that? Like, were you always okay to put yourself out there? I think it's awesome because I got to know you more. Like, I got to hear your voice, your thoughts, again, because of Clubhouse, because I didn't get to see you. I never really saw, other than this, little profile pic of yours. I didn't really know how you looked and how you moved and stuff. Right. And so hearing you, I was like, all right, this fucking girl has a cool story and she's confident. I can hear that she's been doing this. She wants to help people, but you never really spoke about it on Clubhouse. But then I see a lot of stuff on your social. Were you always okay to be vulnerable and put yourself out there? That's tough for a lot of people. Like, where did that come about?
Was I always that way? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Definitely not. I wanted to be a TV host, and to get into that avenue, I went through the world of a lot of auditions and pageants and dance. And so many of those have these irrational ideas of what perfection looks like in terms of how you say and how you speak and what your body looks like. Like, there was legitimately a time in my life where I would go work out at the gym with my trainer and I would be physically put underneath a spotlight. And that spotlight was meant to show if I had any cellulite whatsoever, because that would mimic the lights of a studio or the lights on a stage.
How old?
And they weren't, I was 16 or 17.
Fuck, that's a lot of pressure.
But I looked at it from a very, I really didn't look at it from like there's something wrong with me. A little bit, for sure.
There must have been times where you got like, fuck. Like,
well, I'll tell you this though, is that it made me look at fitness from like a more, like, again, detached perspective, where there was a part of me that I was pissed that I wasn't born that way. But I really looked at it from the lens of just, this is what it takes. This is what you need to do if you want to win, if you want to get cast, because that was just the reality. If you don't want to win, go do something else. But at that time, you would not see people of all shapes and sizes on magazine covers or on TV screens or any of that. There's just one kind of way and one kind of body type. And my hope was, well, maybe if I at least get that opportunity, that I can start transforming people's minds and brains about what that looks like. So I at that point in life was so set on being perfect. And even now, a lot of people know me as having the signature shoe of sneakers.
Yeah.
At that point in my life, I would not be caught dead leaving the house without heels on. I had a blog called Sprinting in Stilettos. I would never let anyone see me without full hair and makeup. It just would not ever happen. And so it was something that had to be chipped away and unlearned. And that's what a lot of you need to be doing, is this unlearning. And at the time, like, it was just so competitive. It was so cutthroat in every single arena. So it was really difficult for any of that to even show through. But what was starting to happen in the hosting world is something that has now hit a lot of professionals and even a lot of professional speakers, where in the hosting world, they really wanted personalities. They really wanted personal brands. They really wanted experts. Like, I was getting taught about personal brands when I was 21 years old. So 15 years ago is when I first heard about, what's your brand? What's your brand? And so I thought it was something that I had to manufacture. I didn't realize it was something that I was just simply living in and existing in. But what they would do, and I thought about this the other day, and I want to even give it to my clients as an assignment. They would give us scripts really similar. And if you're a professional and you're like, what are you talking about? This is going to apply to you. Just wait for it. So they would give us scripts during every hosting class, and they would give you the assignment of, I want you to make this script your own, meaning for your brand. So let's just say, the weather. I know that you guys do Celsius and we do Fahrenheit. But regardless,
Sure.
let's just say that the weather calls for a chance of rain.
Okay.
How would you make that weather report your own?
Got it.
Meaning, what do you think of the rain? And also, what does your audience think about the rain? So let's just say, for example, that I'm the audience who I'm talking to, the audience who I'm thinking about, it's families or it's moms specifically. Okay, moms, it's going to rain tomorrow. That means you got to make sure that you prep all of the rain boots and the raincoats and whatever for your kids. Like, get the dogs, make sure that they're leashed up.
It's a really cool assignment.
Versus someone who maybe their audience is millennial females and all they do is sit at home and watch Netflix. Hey girls, it's going to rain. So basically you're not going to leave your house for the next week.
Great day to Netflix.
How are you? Right. Yeah. Exactly. Or don't chill because you just want to be on your own. Like, that's fine.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
So it's how can you make it your own?
Okay.
And that's what I want to challenge anyone listening on whenever you're going to do a video, whenever you're going to talk about something in business, is how do you make it your own? If I gave you a headline, how are you making it your own? Both you personalizing it with your own spin, your own opinion, whether you're changing the words around to still be truth, but make sense to you, or you're adding a reaction to it where you're like, it's going to rain today. Or you like, it's going to rain today. Which means, like, for me, I'm going through, I love the song Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield, where it's feel the rain on your skin, guys. Like, no one else can feel it for you. So it's that's little microgasms of finding your voice. And it's figuring out what do you think about this? How do you interpret this? And how does the person who you want to talk to, how do they need to be receiving this? And that's also one more level of confidence that you can unlock. That's a part of confidence that relies on connection. When you're connected in a conversation and you truly feel like you are being seen and heard and vice versa, you're not in your head. You're not wondering, what am I thinking about? What am I going to say next? What does my hair look like? You're in it. You're fully there and you're fully present. And so finding ways where you can connect and create that sense of connection, even if someone isn't physically there in that moment, that too is going to make you more present, more intentional, and more confident.
A lot to unpack there because you talked a lot about videos. About 50% of my viewers and listeners are real estate agents. They got to a place now, for sure, especially if they've been along the journey with me on this podcast and my content, they understand that they need to be on social media. They even, majority of them, understand that having a personal brand is important. I think a lot of them even get what you said, which is your personal brand is you. You don't have to manufacture it. Not everyone. I'll probably actually say about maybe 70% of people still think you have to manufacture, just from what I'm watching. But let's just say a lot of them have.
Yeah.
I think what you broke down, and we have to break it down a little bit further, is the thought process of when you're making a video. So when you're making a video, when I see your stuff in stories and even a video, I like the stuff that we're, if you can even scroll down a little bit, Clyde, right? Like some of it is just taken from like you being on stage. So 98% of people are not going to have this, right? Like they're not on stage. So what you're showcasing here is you doing your thing. That's awesome. But then there's videos of you like, boom, right? This one here. Do you see the bottom left-hand corner there, Clyde? You can see that one right there. Okay. That's not you on stage. That's just you, I think, lying on a couch, your bed or something. Okay. And just doing kind of a selfie. A video like this now, Giselle, did you, just want to see what you're talking about here. Bear with me here.
I'll tell you.
By that, I don't mean is it worth stressing out over. Although that's part of it, right? That thing that keeps you up at night, you're overthinking it over and over and over, what you wish that you did or didn't do. But what I really mean is, when it comes to our self-care, usually the first thing that we are willing to sacrifice for other people is sleep. And yet that is also the most important thing for our physical health, mental health, and well-being. And yet it is that first thing that we think we can make up for it later.
Okay. I'm good.
And
I
so,
have
for
two
example,
questions. Number one, how
you
much
know,
do you sleep
whether-
anyways? Like, are you a
Yeah.
big sleeper? Like, what are you?
I used to be someone who would brag about how little sleep I needed.
Okay.
I used to be a morning show host on TV and radio where I would wake up. I need to be in the office by 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Got it.
And I would be out partying until sometimes 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
So 2 hours.
And so I would do that. And now I can't physically do
Function.
that anymore.
Got it.
I've noticed whenever I'm in a place of self-doubt, insecurity, burnout, not thinking clearly, it is 1000% always related to how much I have slept.
You go right back to that, like right off the bat, like it's my sleep.
I go, Giselle, you're tired. You probably need to go take a nap.
Are you someone that might be slightly, not necessarily to the outside world, maybe just in your own head, sometimes like snappy with yourself? Like, you said you use the word insecure. I just sometimes question myself. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, am I doing this right? Like, like,
Yeah.
is that who you kind of become as well? Like
I
said?
always,
Got it.
my confidence is never the absence of insecurity. It's the embracement of it.
Fucking say that
So-
again. Please just say that again.
Confidence is not the absence of insecurity. It is the embracement of it.
Love it.
And I 1000%, like I almost feel like my insecurities have both gotten greater and more intense the more I get to know myself. Like the more I learn to love myself, the more I realize that there are certain parts of me that don't like myself or that there are things that need work. And that's fine. Like you love people in your life that are totally dysfunctional.
What are you insecure
and
about
wild.
right now, if you don't mind me asking? Like,
Whenever I'm about to go on stage, I'm always like, oh my gosh, this is so fucking stupid. Does anybody even care?
even now,
Yeah.
so today, just so
Yeah.
everybody knows, she literally just came
yeah.
off stage. The team picked her up, brought her to the studio. That's why we got the food
Yeah.
on the table. Like, my girl can't do a podcast. I don't care if she tells me she's not hungry. She's eating if she's
just
here. I
spicy.
know. Was it good? It's exactly okay.
Yeah.
Good. Before you go on today, you're questioning that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what's going through the process when you're just about to go on stage? You got mic'd up. Okay, they mic'd you up. You probably have a little bit of time now before they say, okay, it's Giselle.
Let's start before this.
Got it.
So, before I go to sleep the night before.
'Kay.
Okay. So I go to this website called Sleepopolis and I will put that I'm going to sleep right now. And then it'll recommend when I should wake up based off of sleep cycles.
That's pretty cool.
So then I'll try to get at least, I think like, I don't know, 7-ish hours of sleep if I can.
Is that the ring thing? Is that your...
This is the Aura ring,
Okay.
which I always forget to charge it,
Okay.
but also wonderful.
Okay.
So I will choose a time when I'm going to wake up. Every single time that I choose a time that I'm going to wake up before a keynote, which is always usually I'm going to give myself plenty of time so that I can prepare in the morning and I can get ready and I can go over stuff. Every single time I wake up, I cannot physically get out of bed. Like I need to hit snooze. I need to lay there for an hour. I need to meditate. I will sit in bed wishing that the bed will eat me and that I can just disappear into the bed because there's like something in me that's like, oh shit. And then from there, I will eventually get out of bed when I have not that much time to get ready. And I will get ready and I will usually leave a little bit late, which is why I have to give myself even more time.
Are you talking to yourself now when you're in bed? I know you said you meditate, but is there a portion also like, Giselle, you got this? Like, are you doing that self-talk? Do you like what gets you out of the bed?
There is this, well, it's the you have to get
You
out of
have no
bed,
choice.
Giselle.
Got it.
Like,
Okay.
oh shit.
Got
Like
it.
we were supposed to be out of bed 10 minutes ago. Now we really gotta get out of bed. So it's the urgency. It's the type B brain.
Sure.
It is the type B brain. So then I'll get out of bed. The entire time that I'm getting ready and caffeinating is when I'm like, okay, what am I going to say? What am I going to talk about? Even if I kind of know, but like, I don't know. Do I really want to talk about that? I don't know if I want to, what do I want to say it like this? Oh my God, this is going to be so bad. You're not prepared. You should have prepared like even more and ahead of time, like every single time. And then I will leave. I'll still go through it in my head. I will still get nerves right before I go on stage. I've gotten like darker moments of like, this is how it ends, Giselle. You're going to blow it. They're going to regret hiring you. This is going to be the worst thing ever. They're going to be like, this was the worst talk we've ever had. They're going to like,
I'm gonna get
it's gonna be
booed.
crickets. You're going to get booed off the stage. It's going to be awful. And then, I mean, today I went on stage. My slides also didn't really work, but I also didn't really want to use slides that bad. So I went in a totally different direction, went on stage, did my thing, got a standing ovation, and
Which is
and
the
it was
only thing
fine.
I've ever seen. So we just came back from Inman.
Yeah.
Same thing. You did the first talk in the morning.
One of the first talks
one of the
in the morning,
first
yeah.
talks, and you got the crowd. They're all like watching you, like hanging on every single word. So that's why I'm shocked that you actually still have to go through that process. But I think it's so important for people to catch on to the fact that even though that you're scared, you still do it anyways.
Yes. And there is now, what's different now is that before some of that doubt would prevail because I didn't actually know what was going to happen. And now there's this knowingness that's like, just let her talk, just let her stress out. Like I think about how I have some friends who I know that for some of you, it might be your spouses. Like they just need to do whatever weird thing that they do to get ready or to mentally prepare or to whatever. And so I feel like it's my inner dialogue of like, there's the confident Giselle who's like, Giselle, you know what the fuck you're doing. Fucking relax.
Yeah.
But she's also like, it's fine. Just let her talk. This is just what she does. Like, this is just what she does. Just let her.
It's like
just
fucking,
let her.
remember you have the devil and that like on TV shows, they used to show that,
let
right?
her run her mouth
Yeah.
and it's going to be fine. And like, okay, are you done? Okay. Are you done? We're going to go on stage now. Are you good? Okay, cool. And then
Incredible.
that's what we do.
Let's go back to this video for a second in terms of that video there. Are you thinking about, okay, who am I speaking to? What's the process when you're doing this video, right? So who am I going to be speaking to? What value are they going to get? What's your whole process through this video?
Yeah.
I write down points. Like I want you to get into the nitty gritty of it because we all have our own system, right? Like for some people like it and probably 99.999% of people don't like it because I know 99.999% haven't seen the video in the world. So that's probably an indication of it. I just go.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just my process. It makes me feel comfortable. What's your kind of process?
So I think it's important for you to decide, what do you want your relationship with your followers to look like?
Okay.
That's a really important question to ask. So for me, I want my relationship with my clients with my followers to feel like my clients do, which is that they feel like they are in my inner circle.
Okay.
Like if you meet me in person, I'm a hugger. Like I'm warm. Like I try to be as present as I can.
You're a fucking fireball. Like I'm sure
thank
people
you.
have said that word like that to you before.
And I, so a lot of my relationships that I have with people in real life, I want to be there for them. And I want to be the person who I didn't have when I was younger to give me advice, to mentor me. And so when I do a video like that, it's that I want you to feel like I'm FaceTiming you.
Yeah.
Like I want you to feel like, hey, I just called and I was just thinking of you and I wanted you to know about this. Pretty much all of anything that I post, all of it is rooted in some kind of let me help you with your confidence. Let me help you with your routine.
Right.
It's also geared towards business owners. So part of how I build trust with my business owners is I don't just build trust by saying, here, let me help you with video, which is kind of my sweet spot, or let me help you with quote unquote confidence. It's, hey, I'm a business owner too. I know what you're going through. So this is how we're building that relationship. I think it's also important to recognize, you said, well, not everybody has these images from being on stage. Well, that's my office. So for me,
love this. Go.
For me, the stage is my office. The stage is my client. So I'm showing it as a proof of concept. For you, your office might be something else. Maybe it is a construction site. Maybe it's a home. Maybe it's a dumpster or a lawn or a lake or a restaurant. So what you want is to show people that look inside of your office, but also determining, what does that relationship look like? With my clients, we might hop on a Zoom call and it might be at my house.
Right.
It might be at my parents' house. So they get to see some of those spaces if they really actually are my client. And so that's why I feel perfectly comfortable showing them inside of my home. But there are absolutely spaces from my home that you don't see and never will see.
Sure.
And that's because they'd probably never be in that room anyway.
And you don't need to show that. Now, as a real estate agent though, and I know a lot of your clients, correct me if I'm wrong, sorry. A lot of your clients are real estate agents or no?
Yeah.
I know at one point you were almost focused with real estate agents, but don't let me put words in your mouth.
About 80% of my clients and business comes from real estate because it's a contagiously referral-based business.
100%.
And the community is fantastic. It's been so good to me.
Yeah.
And so, I'm very grateful that, for example, when one person loves what I've done with them, they then pass me along to someone else, even perhaps someone who's in their own neighborhood, because I've had someone say, well, do you ever do exclusivity contracts? And I'm like, no, because if I do my job, then both of you will still look completely different.
And I think that person in general with that question is probably coming from a scarcity mindset anyways.
Absolutely.
Like, that one other agent eating is not taking away from food from your plate. I think the abundance mentality, we could do a full 7 hours.
She still hasn't made the videos. We'll put it that way.
Okay, great. But to the real estate agent now, what should they be, what should they want their followers to see? Is it something like you're doing for your business, which is like, I want you to kind of be like, I want you to be in my inner circle. I would sway to like, let your clients see the full 360 version of you, of what you're okay to share.
Yeah.
But I don't know, is that kind of the same path that you would go down? Like, what do you tell the agents?
It's, for you, figure out where are your existing clients coming from, and what is that relationship looking like, and how are you connecting yourself to each other?
Okay.
So for example, if one of the avenues that you relate on very strongly with your clients is the fact that you are a dad or you're a family person, and if you know all of the neighborhoods that are great for families, or if you're used to moving families, then I would love it if I could see your family too, or at least, even if you don't feel comfortable sharing your family, which cool, that's your prerogative. You get to decide what's private, but personal is how you connect with people. So if you don't want to show your kids, that's fine, but maybe you can show that you were at Disney on Ice, and you can talk about how you were there with your family, or you can show your Minnie Mouse ears at Disneyland, showing that you are at least family friendly.
Yes.
Where I don't have kids.
Yeah.
But the way that I show that I'm family friendly is I have my parents.
Yep.
Or I talk about my parents. And that's how I create that relationship with my people. And really thinking about, okay, for you, is it sports? Is it a lifestyle? We hear that a lot. You're not selling real estate, you're selling a lifestyle.
Sure.
But if you don't have a life, how are you showing me that you understand my lifestyle? If all you're showing is your headshots and your homes, the homes, I can a little bit see myself in the homes that you represent, because I might be interested in it. So there's a truth to that. But for example, you could take it a step further of, you're playing golf at the country club. Oh, you're friends with the CEO of that company who I went to university with him. Or, oh, you traveled to the Bahamas for vacation. That's where I go with my family. Like, you're doing yourself a disservice if the only dot connector between you and your client is real estate.
But hang on. But you're telling me that you don't like the just listed, just sold in the market stats videos? Like,
No,
I thought
hate
you
them.
were, no,
I hate them.
aside.
I hate them.
I mean, that's what most people do. I think it comes from a perspective of that, they're checking the box. Like, no, Giselle, I don't know what you're talking about. I do social. And then you go check out their social. It's like a bunch of pre-printed stuff from their brokerage. It's that just listed, or it's just an image of the market stats.
Oh my God. Do you want to talk about the market updates?
Fuck yes. That's exactly where I'm going.
Nobody cares about your market updates. Nobody cares unless you are making me care and telling me the parts that I would actually care about in an English interpretation that makes sense to me. Or maybe it's not English. Maybe for you it's Spanish or French.
Whatever.
If that's the demographic
But not the
that you're reaching
jargon.
out to. But if all you're doing is reading something that I could look up myself, then what is the point? So, for example, the ones who are doing market updates really, really well, they're probably not calling it a market update. Like, they're probably calling it something else. Or if they are, they're at least being specific. But honestly, no, they're not really doing them very well. So, or if they are calling it a market update, it's because they know that their audience is filled with industry professionals who would understand that jargon. So for example, I do have a client, he's the #1 loan originator. He does market updates out of Boston. And he does actually do monthly market updates, knowing full well that his audience is agents.
Because he wants the business from them.
Because he wants the business from the agents, and he's putting it into terms that his agents understands. And also he's putting his point of view on it by being optimistic about the market, or sharing good news, or just saying, here's why you should be paying attention. And that's what makes a good market update. But if all you're doing is doing the market update because your coach said to do it, run.
Well, and I love that you said that they're putting their own spin on it, because as a real estate agent, you can speak about a specific indicator in the market stats. So for example, I always really touch on the months of inventory, because to me, that's an actual indicator on what's going to happen with value. It's just the metric that I've always used. It doesn't make it right or doesn't make it wrong. I'm not having a conversation about like actual stats, but it's the one that I always touch on. So my clients know that, and my followers who are my clients and not real estate agents are like, oh, okay, like this is Jas's take on pricing now. And it's not always optimistic. And I think some agents are just afraid, like, shit, I don't really think the values are going to go up, and so I'm not going to talk about that. On the flip side, if you're the agent who's saying, look, I don't think values are going to go up. In fact, I think they're going to decline.
Yeah.
Maybe right now is not the time to buy.
Right.
You're probably going to win in the long term.
Exactly.
Right? Like you outside of the business as also like part of the public, Giselle, you probably respect that. No, like when you hear an agent not always be optimistic about the market, because the public thinks that you're a sleazy salesperson because you're always saying, buy now. In fact, fucking buy 12 of them. The market's going to go up. Right? Like, do you find like you being part of the public, it's like, hey, dude, like, well, thanks for giving me the straight goods.
Yes.
Not just the bullshit, right?
I love the hook. Nobody else is talking about this, so I'm going to. Nobody else is telling it to you like this, so I'm going to.
Let's make a
like,
point
go
of
ahead
that,
and write
boys.
that
We're going
down.
to use that one. Tilly, we're going to use that hook.
Yeah.
I've never used that one. I'm going to test it.
Yeah, so no one else is talking about fill in the blank like this. I'm going to give it to you straight. And so when you're creating that type of trust with your people, absolutely. But also, I can't emphasize enough, put these things into terms that they would understand. So a couple of things. Great that your brokerage made templates for you. That is not enough. Most of the time, the templates do not tell a story. If I could not understand that story from any other city, it is not enough. Like, oh, prices went down in that market. What does that mean? Because from a consumer lens, I'm going, do the agents not know how to price houses in that market? Does nobody want to live there? What does that mean? Also, I hate to admit this, but it's relevant. For the longest time, me, educated person, owned a home. I didn't know that inventory meant homes on market. I thought inventory meant building supplies.
Oh.
So we think
that sounds funny to me because I'm in the industry,
Right.
but that actually makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, because inventory in a store is like, how many shoes do you got in the bag?
Right. Like,
Okay,
why
go.
would you talk about homes in that way? So there are so many terms that you think are so straightforward to you. But if someone didn't fully know or understand that, they
Right.
might not get it. So I thought, oh, inventory is low. Well, good thing I'm not building a house. I want to buy a house. So like I didn't know. And again, I'm a pretty intelligent person.
Yeah.
Like there are some things that totally go over my head. And
100%.
I'm happy to. So it's how are you putting it into terms that they understand? I also think
I got it.
I got
I got
you.
it. I got it.
I also think it's that we need to humanize the content. Like even referring to your clients as buyers and sellers, that on its own feels so transactional. Remind yourself that you're dealing with humans because that shows up online and especially off. People who need to be in homes, people who need to get out of their homes, because that will also then remind us that fuck the market. People are going through constant changes all the time. They have to build and rebuild. They need something to move into. Their spouse cheated. They need to get away. They lost their job. They need to downsize. They're empty nester. Like they're constantly going through changes regardless of what the market says. It is a luxury if you get to wait for the market to do whatever it is that you want to do versus really humanizing your client and realizing they need you. They might even need you before they know they need you. So you're doing a disservice by not educating them and realizing the potential that they have or that they should wait because it would be smarter if they're able to do that. But if they can't, that you're still going to help them anyway. And so it is, again, can't say this enough. It is not enough to just post the market updates. If all you're doing is that, it's not enough. And if you're like, well, but people like my market updates, they're lying. Or they're in the industry.
Sure.
And if people like your market updates as is, they will love them if you actually put some work into it.
I like that spin to it. Going into 2024, what
We're in
changes?
2024. Did you know that? Yeah.
I'm lost. Like
We're like past in.
You can tell where my brain.
It's 2 months in.
Crazy. It has been 2 months.
Yeah, it's 2 months in.
In 2024, do you see changes to what the algorithms are going to like in terms of videos? So meaning in 2023, you saw a lot of the three best ways to invest into a home. You know, if you're a home seller, make sure here's the number one tip. And I saw some good return on that kind of stuff. Shares, saves, like that's the metrics I kind of look for, because then I know it was valuable. Anyways, that's what I use.
Yeah.
In 2024, do you see that changing? Do you see it like evolving now? Maybe it's not like the tip type of style. I always call them tip videos. What's your thoughts on all that?
Well, I've always said, don't chase trends. You need to be focused on connection. So instead, I'm going to go into a different direction.
And I love that you said that, because as I look through your whole content, and Clyde, just do another scroll down. I love that you drink your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And I like that, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't do a lot of trend shit.
No,
So for everybody who's watching and you're not yet on Giselle's profile, like, you got to do yourself a favor. Just don't go there. Press follow.
Right.
And I don't see a lot of trend stuff that you do. So continue on why you think it's not a good idea. Because I'm on the same path as you.
So here's what happens. I mean, it's true online, it's true offline. When all you're doing is chasing after the validation of others, you will burn out. That's true online, that's true offline. That's how it is. So what I constantly see is this cycle of people who are chasing after likes and chasing after views rather than focusing on the people who are already there and nurturing those relationships. And so what I really want the real estate community to know more than anything else is that AI is coming after you. Like, a lot of people want to say, no, it's not. You have to learn how to use AI. Well, to some extent, yes. But also, it's getting to the point to where there is so much research that is available out there for the public to know. You need to be the one to tell them what is real and what is not. And if you don't have a perspective or interpretation, you're going to get lost. The other thing that's also starting to happen is we're seeing this with the beauty influencers, which is that avatars are now doing outfits of the day and makeup tutorials better and more flawlessly than humans themselves. So we're going to start seeing avatars giving house tours.
Oh, for sure.
We're going to start seeing avatars giving market updates. Now, you could see that as, okay, well, I'll just have an avatar do my market update. No, you need to do it, because you being real is what's going to set you apart. And I even practice what I preached by, I found out that my condo that I sold before I went out to New York was back on the market. I went to go visit it. I basically did a house tour without doing a house tour.
Okay.
And I showed my clients, hey, you should consider doing a house tour this kind of a way.
Okay.
Which was, I was putting my own spin on it. Would you get as personal as I did about my condo as you would about somebody else's listing? No. But
you can.
You can. And you're seeing me get so excited about things. You're seeing me authentically get so excited about the wallpaper and the windows and the glass. And I'm telling a story about the mirror and the pan-picked wallpaper and how I picked certain things. And that's something that an avatar could not do in the way that you do it. And so what I want to emphasize is go back to the basics that you've been putting off for so long, where everybody wants to jump to ChatGPT and jump to using the avatars and jump to the fancy technology, but it's going to be the basics, even in terms of customer service, systems, and also using your voice and scaling your presence using that power of video. And if you continue to run, you will continue to feed into the reputation that your job is obsolete because you're not adding the human touch on what it is that you do.
Well, I think that's great opportunity for a lot of people, especially the ones that
Yes.
see it from an optimistic way, right? And,
Yes.
and look at it from a positive perspective, which is there's no one else like you. Like what I always say to people when I'm talking to my agents on my team doing content, I'm like, look, unless you get into like plastic surgery and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not here to judge, do you? But you look the way that you look and you sound the way that you sound. You can't change
Even
that
if you get the
fucking
plastic
shit.
surgery, you
Yeah.
still look the way you
still-
look right now.
Exactly. Like you can't change this shit. You know, like you might as well go all in on it. In fact, my boys just actually brought up a picture. I don't know if you can
Oh yeah.
bring that up. I want to just get your thoughts around. Can you bring that up again, Clyde? A mutual person that I obviously have been doing a lot of. I followed him for a very long time. I saw Ryan Serhan come up there. There he is.
Gary B.
How did you feel about this moment?
It was huge. It was.
When was this?
This was
You
at.
posted this back in 2023. Was this?
I
earlier?
reposted it.
Got
I
it.
think.
Got it.
Let's see. Reposting.
Is this
Yep.
in V? Like
So
the
this was
conference?
at VCon
Okay.
in Minneapolis,
Got
which
it.
means
I see Minnesota Vikings in the back.
Yep,
I see it.
Yep. It
You have
must
to get
have
that in
been
there, obviously. Go on.
2022.
Okay,
I think it
so a
was.
couple of years ago. Awesome.
Yeah. So
How was this moment?
it was really important to me because in 2018, my first paid keynote speaking gig was opening up for Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
And at that moment, I was not doing speaking professionally. I mean, I didn't even know what to charge. I had no idea what I was doing. I wore this like just stuffy Banana Republic jumpsuit, which there's nothing wrong with Banana Republic other than that I had never shopped there before.
Got it.
I went to the Apple store and bought an Apple Watch because I thought I would look smarter with an Apple Watch. Even though like I have nice jewelry, but I put the Apple Watch on because I wanted to be smarter. I wore these
And look
like
techie?
and look techie. I wore these Cole Haan like baby heels, which
Got it.
again, there's nothing wrong with Cole Haan. There's nothing wrong with baby heels other than like my shoes have to look fly. Like
Got it.
I don't care if they're Crocs.
Yeah, you're a
But
sneakers
like
girl.
I don't do conservative heel. Like that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So in 2018, that was the first time that I really had my world opened up into Giselle, like you could totally do this. And to then be able to get reconnected with him all of these years later and say, hey, I did it.
Ah, that's fucking awesome.
And thank you so much for being someone who was part of the many people who I had watched and showed what was possible.
Yeah.
Where he did things very non-traditionally. You know,
Yeah.
he gets up in this space and he starts talking. I mean, kind of in the way that I did today,
Yeah.
where I was like, fuck the slides. I don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to talk and have this awesome, honest
you
conversation.
have it all in here anyways,
It's all
right?
here.
So, yeah.
It's all in my heart.
In your heart, exactly.
And so he, at that particular VCon, one of the things that he talked about was this phrase of giving someone flowers.
Yes.
Where a lot of times we give someone flowers after they've passed. We tell them how much they've meant to us in an Instagram post or you know, in a letter or whatever. We never actually get the chance to give them the flowers. And so I had seen him a few times throughout this week and I was like, I'm not going to bother him. I'm not going to do it. And then all of a sudden he was immediately in front of me and I was like, can I take a picture with you?
This is weird if I
And
don't
he
ask.
probably had no idea who I was.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't really care, but I told him and he just so genuinely and presently just said, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And he didn't have to remember me, and it was just a very cool moment. And
Yeah.
And then now actually right before this, I got a message from VCon and
Nice.
they asked if I would come into Vayner on Friday for an interview series. So it's
funny how the world works,
it's
right?
really wild how the world works. It's so much smaller than you think, and you never know who could be watching. And I just always like tagged people, DM'd people. Like we've never had that. It used to be that if you wanted to talk to somebody who you looked up to, you'd have to figure out like the name of their agent
Yeah.
or their PO box or something completely impersonal. And now like you can totally send someone a message and they can also find you and follow you back. I've
Yep.
had so many people who I've looked up to follow me on Instagram and I send them a DM and I'm like, I don't know if this was an error. I don't know if your person followed me or if this is you or not, but I just want to let you know, like, I love you and you're amazing. And if I can ever do anything for you, like, please, you know, I'm in your corner. And then they'll write back and be like, no, I love you. Like your videos are so cool. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't know what this is.
How would you reach out to somebody that, so in that scenario, in that
Yeah.
example, they followed you first, so you kind of have a name, right?
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's maybe starting content right now and maybe you're starting a podcast or something and you want to get, call it the Garys, you want to get Giselle, you want to get whoever it is, how would you though open that up? Like, are you just literally sliding into their DMs, as the kids saying, like saying, hey, Joe, and asking right away, what's your kind of strategy around that? Like, how should somebody reach out cold?
You know, if somebody has no idea who I am, if I don't follow them back, I'll be honest, I set the bar a little higher.
Okay.
And I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you don't have more than like 20 episodes, I'm probably not going to do it. Now, that's not a never say never. You never know.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a video component, I'm not going to do it, because again, like, what am I getting out of it?
Right.
Because what ends up happening is I basically we went to church today, right? Like, I basically gave you guys this master class for free.
100.
And so what ends up happening sometimes is I'll end up giving this person basically like a one-on-one private training that ends up just taking a lot of energy out of me and a lot of wisdom to them, and I get nothing out of it. And so you want to be able to come to it with some type of leverage.
Okay.
So maybe it is, I had your friend so-and-so. If you're going to use an example of I've had so-and-so, make sure I know who the fuck you're talking about.
Don't bullshit me.
Because there will be people who they'll be like, we've had this person, this person, this person. I'm like, I have no idea who those people are. I don't follow them. I've never heard of them. I don't know. But if it's someone who I know or who I follow, great, customize that.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I know we're really new, but we would be totally open to filming this, and also we'll trim some awesome social media clips for you.
Bring me some value.
And right, create some value.
Yeah.
And we'll introduce you to A, B, C, D, or we will, connect you with this speaking, or you can promote blah, 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 blah. Like, find a way to make it advantageous for me. What I hate more than any fucking thing is when you are clearly using me as leverage and then you end up wasting my time.
Yeah.
You're unprepared, or people will be like, okay, we're going to do a 30-minute rehearsal. And I'm like, if I have no idea who you are, I'm not going to then do a 30-minute rehearsal. Like, you're already taking my time.
100%. And we can just do the talk right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or like, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Like, tell me, what does your audience need? If you don't know who your audience is, that's really not going to help me.
100%.
But here's the thing. All of that to say, shoot your shot.
Yes.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
There have absolutely been days where I am in a fantastic mood, or sometimes I will intentionally take some time off, or I want to try some new material, or I want to test something out. And they'll be like, do you want to come on my podcast? I'm like, yeah, sure. Tomorrow? Cool. Where like maybe I'm normally booked up, but I'll make the time.
It's just serendipity. It worked.
So many of the opportunities that I've had for myself have been, let's just put it out there and see what happens. There have been people who've asked me day after day after day after day. I also admire that, the follow-up with any of my employees that I have had. Most of them have reached out to me first. Yeah. And I always ignore the first message that says, I want to work for you, or let me come work with you.
That guy right there on the right side, Bo. Okay, he's been with me for 3 months now, 4 months, Bobo. I was actually going to hire someone else, not because I didn't like him, but I was thinking about, I love him, but from the interview process, now I do. But I was gonna do like a male-female connection with my content team. Laura, shout out to Alto. You missed the Chick-fil-A, boo-hoo. I wanted the male and female kind of connection, but Bo called me 2 days before and followed up. And I looked over to Laura and I looked over to Mel, our chief of staff, and I said, so you're bringing it? They're like, why? You like the other girl? I was like, I did, but she never texted me. She never emailed me. She didn't even, I don't even think she went and checked out my socials, because that was part of the job. Like, we're doing social media stuff. You might want to just, I don't need you to follow me, but maybe shoot me a DM.
Just like,
look around, like who you're working with. You might not even like my stuff. And you're like, I don't want to work with this guy. And that's why he got hired.
Yeah.
Right. And now he just literally, I took him to Inman and he was in New York for a week and got to, play with us. And so that following up is huge to the point, right? Like, you just might get that extra job. The other thing I heard, that what you said, Giselle, is very important, is do a little fucking research. Like, so if I'm now listening to this podcast, I'll give you like real life advice. And I wanted to book Giselle, I'm probably going to mention, like, hey, if you come and do this podcast, I'll make sure I'll bring some Chick-fil-A and I'll bring the spicy chicken fingers.
Right. At the very least.
Like something to at least attract your attention, something different. Yes. You know what I mean? Hey, girl, I know I'll make sure that I bring the unsweetened iced tea.
Right. Exactly. And when someone just says, "Oh, I like your profile. I like your content."
Yeah.
Really?
That's a bot.
What do you, right? Exactly. It's a bot. You're probably in my spam folder anyway.
Yeah, right.
And so, really connecting that relationship, connecting the dots, but even back to that working for somebody thing, like I'm that type B brain. I need people who are going to be following up after me, not me chasing them down. So that's on it. That's part of the test that we do, whether it's intentional or not. If they don't, they have to try at least twice. They have to submit at least twice. They have to take initiative and they have to follow up. And if they don't follow up, if they don't confirm, sorry.
And I'm not trying to shit on people who are like 26 and less kind of thing, like in age wise, because majority of my team consists of that age group.
Right.
Majority of
Good
them
for you.
anyways. Right? It's just how it's worked out. Not because I want to. It's just, I don't know. It just worked out like that. How old are you, Clyde? No? 24? There you go. See, 26 and less. That part has been lost on them though, Giselle. They do not, like you said, follow up twice. Forget about it. I don't know how many people you've come across, 26, even 30 unless that actually follow up. It's almost like they're too cool for it. They flipped it. It's like, fuck you. I don't need you. Like I have 1,000 jobs to apply at. And maybe you do, and maybe you can be an influencer and all that stuff will work out fine. But if you're looking for a job and you can't send an email and a follow-up, like what are you doing? Like it makes no sense. It doesn't even cost you anything to do. It's a quick little email. Like you can actually even set it up in Outlook or Gmail to send it out automatically, right?
That's totally that. You can absolutely automate it. I mean, and that's the thing. They'll go find a different job for someone else that will be a better fit. And it's not what you or what I need. And so that's just what I've learned and I expect and I need and what's going to work out in the long run, because we don't need more creative, sparkly ball chasing visionaries like me in the office who aren't actually going to get anything done.
I like you, but we don't need two of you.
Right. We don't need
a
two
little
of me.
too much.
We don't. It would be way too much.
You want somebody who's resourceful, right? Like,
yeah.
Figure it out.
Yes.
Like we're going to run into 67 problems in 2 days. I need you to help me out and figure out the problems. Like, don't tell me about the problems. You deal with the solutions. Performance coach. What does that entail? You said it earlier. You kind of, glossed over it, or maybe I did. It's not just about videos. No. That's not what you're coaching your clients on. So walk me through the path of who is an ideal client of yours and what would you help them do?
Performance for me, it's things that are forward facing, but it's also, I say there's internal content in your head. And that's the most important content that you can create that most people completely ignore. It's what are the voices in your head saying to you, about what you're doing, about what you're saying, what's going on up here. Because if what's going on up here is not aligned with what you're saying or how you're showing up every single day, then that's going to turn into a dumpster fire at some way, shape, or form or another at some point in time. And so ultimately, me as a performance coach, it's figuring out how do we line those things up? How do we create your version of what authenticity looks like for you so that your voice sounds not great like you? That's what's most important. So what I typically do is a lot of times people feel like our coaching sessions are part interview, part challenge. But I think that my greatest quality as a coach is if I'm in the performance outward facing coaching hat, then I might give you tweaks like, hey, say it like this, don't say it like that, stand up straight, I'll tell you what to do. But if I'm in the performance internal coach place, I don't tell you anything. I just ask you questions. Mm-hmm. I ask you questions, and the best coaches do not give you the answers. They help you find your own answers. And so a lot of it is just asking you the right questions, framing it in some kind of a way so that you can also learn how to ask yourself the same types of questions to figure out your own way out of whatever twists and turns you're going into and have your own toolbox to help you when I'm not physically there with you.
It sounds like it's very reverse engineered and customized.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Like it's not... You're not going to coach Jas Takhar the same way that you're going to coach Bo or Laura or someone. So I like the fact that there's a lot of, I guess the word is like you're reverse engineering it for the person because all you're doing is really asking questions. Mm-hmm. And I know some people, especially in the sales industry, would be like, damn, that sounds like a therapist. I'm telling you right now, fucking salespeople, we need therapists.
Right.
Like we need somebody to talk shit out because you deal with so much rejection and you gotta have an outlet. And I think someone like yourself is the perfect person to be an outlet because you're not in the business in terms of selling real estate. And so you're not in it with us, right? And I mean that in the most positive way because you're able to see things that we can't now. Like we're just like, fuck, man, I kept on getting no's, but now you can push back and say, hey, why do you think you're getting no's? Or how are you going about
Right.
it? I think content for me, the biggest ROI is that it's made those no's a lot less because people are coming to me. And I have a feeling that's what you probably coach people on why they should do content. Because when they ask you, like, what's the return on all of this?
Oh.
What is your answer to that? Like,
So what's the return?
on doing all this content and social media
Hold
stuff.
on, I have to adjust myself. I might even need to put my hair back for this
You
one.
do your thing, girl.
Okay. So when people talk about ROI, the thing that they want to go to first is they want to figure out where do I see the return? Where do I see the money? Where do I see the investment coming back? And there is what no one else is saying when it comes to the ROI about content. I want you to write this down if you're listening to what this is. Okay. So the biggest ROI when it comes to content is time. And that is the most definitive resource of anything. That is the one thing that you can't get back. But when you start creating content, you can immediately multiply your time. And that's what a lot of people miss because they automatically go to that place of, but I don't have time to, or, but I spend hours doing. Okay, let's just say, which this didn't happen, but let's just say that a video that I posted last night took me 90 minutes to upload. Let's just say it took me, 30 minutes to film it, or maybe even an hour. Maybe it even took me an hour to edit it and then, another hour to think and overthink the caption. Okay, but then I posted it and I wake up the next day and I have an alert from Instagram saying this video has been viewed for 24 hours. So all of a sudden, I got 21 hours from that 3-hour investment. That sounds like a hell of a return to me. Even if, let's just say, it's been watched for 3 hours. Let's just say it's been watched for 1 hour. That's still 1 hour of your time, of your day that you didn't have to keep investing after you uploaded that video. And how awesome when someone can watch a video or multiple videos or multiple posts and it's while you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's the one for me.
That's
the one.
The one. Or when someone goes, and I've been getting this a lot lately because I've done a lot of new events this year. And people who send me DMs saying, oh my gosh, I just watched your video for like 3 hours. Or I just watched your profile for like 3 hours.
I went to the rabbit hole of
video.
Giselle.
I went down the rabbit hole of Giselle and I heard about your breakup and I saw your other job and your dog's amazing and your parents are the coolest. And they went down that rabbit hole. And by the time they reach out to me, they go, I know I want to work with you. I don't know what capacity it is, or maybe they do. I already sent your video to like 10 other people on my team, and we are so ready to work for you. And so all of a sudden, my audience is my best sales team. I've never had to do any outbound strategy, and I feel so fortunate for that because my videos are my sales team, and it multiplies me. Like you are the best salesperson for you,
Right.
In which case, cool. Put yourself out there more. And how great when I have my videos and also I can have my in-person meetings like this or my phone calls or my Zoom calls. And all of those things are working for me where your audience, real estate agents, your listing presentation does not start when you walk through the door. Right. Your listing presentation is everything that person found about you before they even decided to reach out to you to begin with. And you can cut that listing presentation time in half or completely when you're showing what it would actually look like for you to list someone's house with materials that are already in existence on your website, on your social media profile, etc. And if you don't have any of those things, then just know you're missing out on a lot of opportunities.
And I think it's so important to also add to that 10 years ago, 8 years ago, even 5 years ago, the only way that someone can really send a referral to you is when your client's at a dinner party and they say, oh, you should call my real estate agent. The problem with that, even back then, was your client would feel weird saying it at times. Like, call my real estate agent, because they're like, shit, I gotta put myself on the line here. Like, what if Jas doesn't do Jas, the real estate agent, doesn't do a good job with my cousin? I'm just not gonna say anything. Instead of giving him my Jas's number, or finding that my cousin's number out and giving it to Jas. Now they can just press share on a friggin' video. It's very harmless. Like, there's not really a lot of work that's involved.
Right.
They literally can just press share on the video and say, here, just take a look at Jas, and you might like him or you might not like him. So I think it's made the process of getting introductions a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
Like, now, for example, the talk you did today, the second you start cutting the content down, doing what your machine does, even the guys at the brokerage that you did the talk with, they can just send that talk out. It just starts the circle of introductions and referrals a lot easier, right?
Absolutely. And I even want to take a moment and talk about referrals, which is, it's so easy to get butthurt if you find out that a friend or a client referred business to someone else and not you. And I understand, I get it, because maybe that's your area of expertise and you think that's your homie. But more than ever, when we're able to differentiate personalities and through content, we need to understand that if somebody refers the business, it's not because you're bad at your job, although sometimes it is. It's because they said, well, I just felt like maybe they would get along with someone else better. Like, think of it like dates. I'm not going to set everybody up with this person. I'm going to be really thinking about who is compatible for this person. Who are they going to like? Who's going to like them back? Who is going to be able to handle when they have meltdowns or when they are texting you at 9 p.m. And so we can take it so personally, especially with me, because I now have this incredible referral network where people will go, Giselle, do you know a real estate agent in Toronto? Do you know someone in Minneapolis? Why didn't you refer me as the business? Here's the thing. I gave them 3 names and they chose. Or they asked me very specifically, who do you think would be the best fit? And I told them. And here's why. But we really think that we want all the business. You don't want all the business. And what could be worse is if someone sends you a referral, they know it's a bad fit, and then you blow up the deal, and now you have bad taste in your mouth with that person, bad taste in your mouth with the person who referred them. Now things are weird, and like no one wants to invite you to the Super Bowl party
100%.
either.
It's
So
true.
like, detach yourself from that outcome and don't take it personally, no matter how close you are with that person, or perhaps especially with how close you are with that person.
Couldn't agree with you more. You said Super Bowl. Gonna put you on the spot. Who's gonna win it?
Chiefs.
Okay. Why that quickly, by the way? Did you
It's
say
just
that?
part of the storyline. Come
Mahomes? Mahomes?
on. I mean, no, with Travis Kelce.
So you're talking Taylor Swift. And,
Yeah.
got it. You're right. I
It's
see
the
a lot of
storyline.
So you're massive. Is it Swiftie? Sorry, what do people
so-
say?
Yeah, so I'm
Because I see it in your stories right
yeah,
now.
I am a Swiftie.
Okay,
but
that
I'll
is the word.
But I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
The last couple of years, I've needed a moment from Taylor because she had this one album called Folklore that like cut me open, where I was like, I think I need a minute, Taylor. Like this was really
Is it, like,
intense.
deep?
Like
Okay.
I felt like she wrote it
I
directly
like
to me.
her when I see her. Like, so
Yeah.
I just don't follow her music.
Yeah,
but
I felt like she wrote it directly to me. And so I was like, I think I need a break from a couple of albums. I need to like get my head and my
Shit,
heart
she
right.
got to you.
Oh my
Okay.
God, she got to me. And so when they started dating, I was actually closer. I say that as if I'm friends with them, to Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, my favorite Kelce is Jason Kelce.
I love her.
By far.
Yeah,
Like
I love
feel
her.
like Jason and I are the same person. Like I adore him. So I felt as if it was like, oh my God, my best friend from college and my best friend from work just started dating. Oh my God, we're all gonna be best friends. Like, this is amazing. So that's part of what it is. And like, this is gonna sound so cheesy. And if you don't get it, you won't get it. And that's fine. But there are very few mentally stable single females available as examples in 2024 to look at. Like women who are over 30, who are extremely successful, who are single. There are very few examples, and also fewer examples of those relationships on display for people to see. And I think for so long, Taylor's had to make herself smaller for some of the guys who she's dated. And a lot of women see themselves in that, where they've made themselves smaller to be able to just be with someone, anyone, and not be.
She dated like other celebrities and
She's
stuff.
dated
like
other celebrities.
Okay, and
Yeah,
and
she
that's
dated-
what you're talking about. She was like in that person's
kept
shadow.
under wraps, where like she tried to make her, it's like a whole thing.
Tilly-
You could speak out. It's okay.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Well, so, and that's the thing too, is that like people say that, but like so many like men have dated even more than she has,
Right.
But she is put on a different, just playing
Got
field
it.
microscope
Got it.
because
Got it.
of what it is.
Yeah.
So that
But she
being said,
looks happy to me now. So like not
Who
knowing
knows?
all this
We
back.
don't know
I'm
anything.
just saying. I agree, but
Yeah.
I mean like, and maybe it's like I've followed. I'm not a Chiefs fan by any stretch of the imagination. I'm probably like more of a Patrick Mahomes fan, but I've known of Kelsey obviously, and he seems a little different, like in a happy way as well. So I think the relationship so far has been positive, but so you're saying that because of that whole storyline, everything's aligning,
yeah,
the
it's
stars.
just
it
fun to
feels-
be able to
Got it.
watch
Sure.
and like to see
Sure.
somebody who like finally understands he's dating Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like that has been fun to watch.
Yeah, like I saw
because
some-
if you think about it, like okay, she is 34.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Let's just say
Got
on
it.
average,
Yeah.
she went on one date a year, or
Okay.
she dated one person
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
Like okay,
Since she was
let's-
16.
right. But she was in a relationship with someone for like 6 or 7 years, and like it's a lot of longer term relationships. So it's like by her existing,
Yes.
people are saying, "Oh, she's throwing this in the face. She's promoting this. She has dated everybody." Like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like, has she really dated everyone, or
Yeah.
is it just that we're like giving her added pressure,
Right.
because of who she is?
And I don't see the promotional aspect of it because she's always wearing his stuff.
She is.
Like, I actually
is.
think the jacket she has, like, I'm not really
Yeah.
into clothes and outfits that you could tell I
Right.
do the hoodie and t-shirt every day. But that jacket, I saw her wear a couple of, I think it was the first playoff game. I was like, shit, I want that jacket. That's
Right.
like, I don't even know what it's called. Like, is it not a bomber jacket? Is it? But anyways,
yeah,
that's one of them
puffer jacket.
puffer jackets.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. 87. Anyways,
Right. And then you look at it, for example, and like, let's just say their relationship is made up. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend. Whenever people are describing Travis Kelce, they say he's strategic. Whenever they're describing Taylor Swift, they call her manipulative. That on its own is very telling.
shit, you go deep with it. I like
I
it.
do because
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah.
Because I've had to be
I
in
love
and
it.
around it for so long.
Yeah.
So regardless, I love like of all different ways, shapes, and
Yeah.
form. And so
Can you give me a score?
no, I can't. I couldn't even if I wanted to. Like we'll just say 34-13.
All right, mark it down, guys. 34-13 from
Yeah.
Giselle. Interesting, because I thought you might have went down the path of the whole USC. You might have went down the 49ers kind of route.
No. Maybe even like 14-13. I feel like maybe it'll be like
Ooh.
like a tight.
A tight game.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I have a hard time going against Mahomes. Like, I'm not a fan of him. I just respect him. It's
Yeah,
it's my
you have
relationship
to.
with Brady. Like, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. Like, just in Toronto here, it's the only football team that would come on TV.
Okay.
And in 1992, I'm 12 years old, and that's the team on it. I'm like, holy shit, this NFL thing's way faster than what we have as the Canadian Football League, which is a great
You guys have a Canadian Football League?
CFL. Yeah. Not a lot of people know. You want to know a couple of weird things
I
about
had
the
no
CFL?
idea. No,
We're
we'll talk
3
about it
downs, not
later.
4 downs, just so you know. But here's our slogan. Our balls are bigger.
Oh, okay.
Because the football,
Yep,
that's
yep,
just the
yep.
slogan of the CFL.
Yep, okay.
Anyways, just an odd sport.
His words, not mine.
Yes, Jas Takhar said it. Anyways, I just have a hard time betting against Mahomes. So I need to give you some flowers.
Thank you.
I was actually going to get you flowers.
Oh.
But I was like, how are you going to take
You got
them
me
back?
chicken
It's weird.
fingers.
Well, that's my way of giving you flowers.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I do
Chicken
want to give
fingers
you
and French
flowers
fries.
because a couple of reasons. Number one, what you did back in the pandemic, being on Clubhouse, your voice, your energy, your enthusiasm, I could tell when you would leave a room, you were gone and you never knew. And people would talk about you that you inspired them, that you got them out of a state. And I know inspiring someone, and inspiration's a big word, and sometimes you don't hit it with everyone. Not everyone hits it with you, but you made them happy for that moment. And for me, that's important because I, like you, grew up in a family that was ultra loving, like ultra loving. And it's my job now to make other people happy. Like, I want to give. My cup is overflowing. It's time to give. But I see that's what you're doing. And so it's just kind of cool to see you on this journey. The fact that you put yourself out there so much is incredible to see. And so I want to thank you not only for coming here in person after you did a speaking gig. I know how much energy that takes from you. It's just anybody who does it and you're like, dude, I'm in. Like, I'm fucking in Toronto. Like, you're not here all the time. I'm doing this. So I really want to thank you. Elso couldn't be here. I know you did her show as well. I know she wanted to thank you as well. As a business partner of mine, I know how thankful she is, and the stuff you're putting out there, the world needs to see more of it. And I hope we did our part today to give you that. But if there's anything else that you ever need, just ask us. Because again, the energy you're putting out there is so positive, and I love you, girl, for that.
I love you,
really
and thank
appreciate
you
that.
so much. I mean, this guy sent a video crew with me earlier today just to be kind, and you know, I feel like all of us have this mission, this calling on our hearts where we want to share more of what we've learned along the way with the world, because I think, you know, we talked a lot about confidence today, and I feel like there are different tiers of confidence, but the current one that I've been circling around for a long time is one where you realize, holy shit, if I'm confident, that doesn't take away from anybody else. And then there's the next tier of, if I'm confident and I spread that around to other people, everything and everyone and the whole world gets better, because so much pain in this world is rooted in people who are insecure, or who are feeling unlovable, or who are feeling stuck and hopeless. And so when you get to that place, and when you find other people who, like, you just want to bottle up that energy and like spray it all over everyone, opportunities like this, I couldn't miss it. And I'm still riding high on the adrenaline, and now the chicken fingers. Your team is incredible, and you guys are just total pros, and I'm so grateful, and I can't wait to see the footage.
Awesome. Guys, don't even waste a second. Just go to her profile, press follow, and then do yourself a favor. Go into the rabbit hole of Giselle. See you guys soon. Take care. If you found that episode valuable and you want to watch more of the Jas Takhar podcast, click here. If you want to see more videos in general, click here.